All right, on the way to the gym right now. Another beautiful day. Gotta, make gains, make sure people are up and at it, not being lazy today. This is my second day trying to talk to a camera every day, and right now I'm doing it while driving, so it's kind of hard to multitask, but I'll figure it out. We gotta get used to these situations where we're not comfortable doing what we usually do. Usually I'm blasting music right now, driving fast, having fun, but take it a little slower this time and gotta make sure that everything looks good, sounds good, and yeah. So I kind of wanted to just talk about how how tough life is really. Sometimes you gotta really push yourself to do the things that you don't want to do and fight every day to wake up in the morning, or if you're staying up really late. And it's tough. It's tough trying to run your own business, trying to find clients, trying to find leads. But at the end of the day, what are you doing it all for? Everybody has their reasons, but in reality, the same things are always, the problem. So time on family, things you want to do, and also just, paying all your bills on time, right? You don't want to be late on rent. You don't want to owe money on your mortgage. You want to pay off your house. You want to pay off your cars. You want to pay off everything, right? But all that takes time, right? And reality has taught us that everything has its own, time frame, right? Nothing is going to be on the same schedule as you want. We have to really tell ourselves that, hey, bad things are going to happen. But also good things are going to happen too, The law of reaction, Every good thing that's going to happen to you, another thing equally as bad is going to happen again. So we just got to push through that. Put one foot in front of the other. Try new things. Don't ever just stay the same in your same area. Don't get complacent. Don't get comfortable. But really try to feel every moment, right? Like, what am I going through? And ask yourself, am I really going to remember this a year from now? Is this really going to matter if I post this video and people are going to be like, oh, you look dumb? Or people are going to say, oh, what are you doing with your life? Don't talk yourself out of it, right? It's not overcomplicated. You just have to be there and be present when people ask, hey, can you fix my roof? Can you fix this drywall problem I'm having? Can you fix this whatever, right? Electrical problem, plumbing problem. And when they come to you, you have to be that authority saying, yes, I can. This is what I do. And really, I do nothing else. This is my business. The only thing I care about, so that in the future, I can take care of my family. I can take care of my time. I can take care of everything. That everything's going to be in my control. So that you're not worried about losing your job. You're not worried about not having enough income every week. That you have full control over that. Also, a lot of good things that can come out of this, right? People are going to say, oh, you don't go out, you don't drink, you don't party, you don't ever make time to make plans with your friends, or when your friends ask you to plans, you say you're busy. What they don't understand is that you're not trying to have fun right now. You're trying to create something that'll last you generations for your family. Something that probably your parents didn't think about, or your siblings, or your cousins, or whoever might just say to you, hey, this is how it's been for the past 2 generations of our family. That's how it's going to be. You're going to be a plumber, you're going to be a carpenter, you're going to be a construction worker, and you're not going to be anything else. That's it. And if you want to become something else, they'll probably hate on you. Which a lot of times our Mexican families, a lot of my raza, it's actually pretty, demoralizing trying to tell these people, hey, I want to try something new. I want to start my business. I want to, learn something else rather than construction. And they tell you go for it, but with this how do you explain it? These subtle jabs they give you, right? This subtle jab that you're never going to make it, and eventually you're just going to go crawling right back to them. Only way you can fail at business is if you give up. That's it. If you just give up, then you fail. So what happens if you never give up? Then you never fail. At business, of course, you're going to fail about a lot of things in business. You're going to fail on this project. You might have estimated too low. You might have estimated too high, and the client ran away. Every failure is just a learning lesson. And every business that fails is just because they gave up. You know, you might be thinking, I'm not making enough money. I'd make more money at my job. It'd be more consistent income coming in. But at the end of the day, if you don't take any risk, you're never going to receive any reward. You're never going to find yourself in a place where, wow, I really did that and it was all worth it. You're always just going to say, oh, I did what I could and this is what happened. You know, it was the bare minimum, right? I'm making only like $2,000, $3,000 a month and I'm barely scraping by, right? But honestly, if you have your jobs and you make that extra $2-3 grand a month, that could give you the financial freedom that you need. So reality, it's everybody's situation is different, right? People are saying, oh, I need to make 100K a month, 200K a month. If you make, let's say, 4 or 5 grand a month right now, an extra 2-3 grand a month will help you a lot. Let me say that again. If you make 4 or 5 grand a month, an extra 2-3 grand could actually help you a lot. And I'm not saying that you have to make these crazy differences in your life where you have to like get up at 3 a.m. in the morning and, you know, read and then journal like all these influencers say. You literally just have to commit yourself to some type of service that you can already offer, that you already know, and say, hey, I'm now offering this service on top of my job. And now you're a hustler. Now you're just hustling and you're grinding it out. And it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. But also, when you do these things where you have some sort of second business, eventually that second business is going to turn into your main hustle. Let's say you're only making 2-3 grand contract, you know, doing small job for your friends, but when you're collecting reviews, when you're actively posting and you're acting like you're actually doing this every day, then eventually it will become your everyday thing. It isn't so like, oh yeah, I'm doing this on the side, right? No, your business is your business. Focus on your own business. Your boss is gonna fire you. Your family is gonna be having struggles if you keep that job or you don't. But what are you gonna do about it, right? Are you gonna start that business that could potentially help your family, even if you take a little bit more risk? You might take a little time off work in order to get this thing done, but it'll be worth it because now you can only rely on yourself. Relying on yourself as men is what we do. When you didn't have that job, when you didn't have that education or that career, what'd you do? You had to go out there and chase it. It's the same thing with business. You got to go out there and chase it. Put yourself in front of people. Put yourself in front of a camera. Put yourself in front of companies that will eventually give you business. It's always important to be healthy. It's always important to have your, make sure you're healthy. You're able to talk to people normally without being out of breath. Being able to help your guys if you need help on the job site. Construction is a very physically demanding job. And people think, oh, I'm going to be a contractor and never have to do anything again. Sometimes you're going to have to help jump in, at the start. People think it's all automated. Like, oh, I don't even have to be at the job site. My guys can take care of everything. What if your guys show up sick? What if you guys, they quit on you? What are you going to do then, right? If you don't physically take care of yourself, then how are you going to take care of your company? You are a reflection of your company. If you're unhealthy, if you're overweight, or you're super skinny, or you're super, out of shape, where you're just completely almost useless physically, then how's that going to reflect, right? But anyways, yeah. Construction is a tough industry, man. These people are really out to get you. If you can't handle being hated on, then you'll never make it, honestly. If you can't handle being, the number one person where people talk about in the family, oh, this guy's such a loser. Why is he doing that, This guy's never going to make it. He's not even making more money than me and I work a job, right? If you can't handle being hated on and you take that personally, then you will never make it. Because it's never ending. People are always going to hate on you no matter how successful you get. And people are going to hate on you if you're not successful. So what's the difference, right? If you're not successful and you don't do anything with your life, people are going to hate on you. But you are successful and you do things in life, then people are still going to hate on you. So why does it matter? Why does it matter if you, decide to drop out of college or decide to drop out of your job or, pursue something different? The family's full of officers, the family's full of lawyers, the family's full of construction workers, and you decide you want to do something else, people are going to hate on it, right? People expect you to conform, and although conformity isn't bad necessarily, it's bad if you really don't want to do it for the rest of your life, right? Especially for young men. I'm talking 25 to 35. You guys are still in your prime lives, right? Where people expect you to be like already, cemented at a job or cemented into this lifestyle where you're paying your bills with every check that you get and you're living check to check. It's never too late to make that change. It's never too late to try to, but especially with times now, it's now easier than ever to start a business. Easier than ever. Back then it was a lot harder, because it was hard to publicate yourself and promote your business. But nowadays it's so easy. There's so many free options that you really have no excuse. There's no reason after 4 years of construction you can get your contractor's license. After 4 years, that's it. So if you started working construction from 18 to 21, you can get your contractor's license. And it's important that you understand construction, but do you have to necessarily know every single thing about construction? No. What you do have to know is how to run a business, how to run a company, how to run people working at your job sites, and making sure there's a culture where everybody feels valued and everybody's getting paid well, and you're able to talk to customers so they can pay you big contracts. If you suck at talking to people and you suck at talking in front of camera, or you suck at selling, then people are going to say that I'm going to put that as an excuse. But with everything, when you're born, when you come out of your mother, you don't know how to read, you don't know how to write, you don't even know how to breathe yet. And so you come out and you're like, I can breathe, right? Same thing with business. You sit there and you learn it. You don't just sit there and make excuses or you'll die, right? If you can't read and you can't write out here, you'll never survive in any job or any environment. So we learn in school, grown men, 20 to 25, unless you went to college, which I prefer, most guys in the blue collar industry didn't go to college. We have to step up and say, hey, I'm just going to sit down, learn how to talk to people, YouTube it, Instagram it, whatever, then go out and do it. Talk to somebody. It doesn't even have to be about a sale. Just talk to someone about a conversation and bring up the fact that you want to start a business and you want to do this, and see the reaction. If they say, oh, that's dumb, or hey, I support you, then whatever, right? But now you understand how rejection feels, because they're going to either reject you right there and say, hey, you're dumb for starting that business, or hey, I support your business. It's the same thing when you ask a customer, do they want any work done on their house? Hey, do you need a new roof? Yes or no? And they say no. Well, okay. I'm going to continue on no matter what. You shouldn't take no as in a stop. No just means we're only getting closer to yes. No means that we're only getting closer to yes. And yes is not that far away. It doesn't take a lot of yeses to change your life, but it takes a lot of no's for you to understand that, hey, it doesn't matter if they say no, right? That's a big fear, that if you knock on somebody's door and they say, hey, get out of my house, or, leave before I shoot you, you see those crazy videos. But in reality, most people just aren't going to be that difficult. They're just going to say yes or no. And you have to be an adult about it and say, okay, I respect that. That's it. Nothing personal. Everybody has to earn a living. No matter how embarrassing it is, if you work at In-N-Out, if you work at McDonald's, it's not embarrassing. Everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs to make money. Don't feel ashamed that you're working at your job and you're only making $20 an hour. So when you go out there and you're starving and you're broke, especially if we're all broke, then why are we having this mindset that it's scary to go out and ask people if they need work done or if they need some sort of service and they give us money for it? Isn't that how communism, isn't that how capitalism works? We have this mindset that we're going to stay broke forever. No, if you're broke, then there's no reason for you to not go out there and try to make money. If you're broke, why do you have shame in asking people, I have this service that I can provide. I have this company that I want to get business for so that I can make money and live. Who's going to be shameful about that? Who's going to shame you for that? But the reality is most people are. They're like, no, I don't want to sound like I'm better than you. I don't want to sound like I'm coming from a place that, I'm not humble and prideful because I wanted to start my business. Your first 90 days of business is going to be the real tough tell that if you really going to feel like, oh, prideful that you own a business. You're going to be like, damn, I miss my job. I miss having that income. I miss being able to get home at a certain time, just waking up whenever the shift starts. I have to go at 5:30 a.m., get there at 7, Now you're staying up till 2, 3 in the morning and you're waking up 6 a.m. the next day and you wish you had your job, right? But that's it. That's life. Nothing in this life is going to be easy, or nothing in this life is going to be instant gratification, right? You see these contractors, I'm doing $5, $8, $10 million a year, and you're saying, how am I ever going to do that if I'm making like barely 100K? They all started like that. It's just that now they're recording the highs instead of the low. That's what social media is about, right? But no, differentiate. How do you say differentiate? Make yourself different from others by showing the lows, showing the highs, and showing the whole process. So eventually they'll just say, hey, this guy's been through it all. If he can do it, why can't I do it, right? If he became successful, why can't I? And you're just, only thing you have to tell them is don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. And your clients will see that too. That, hey, this person never gives up on themselves, their business, their family, never. And that'll reflect in your business, right? So I'm here at the gym. Hopefully I got a good point across. Maybe a lot of you aren't going to watch this, but hey, for me, it's all I need. Have a good day, guys.